Hi, it's Veronica with the Crafty Oasis. Today I wanted to share my bingo cards and calling cards. I think this is a really fun activity and it can be tailored to any season. This particular one is for St. Patrick's Day, so I put lucky at the top, and then we have the calling cards as well. So I have the full tutorial in just a moment in Canva. Okay, once we're in Canva, go ahead and click or tap Create a Design. Choose the US letter, which is 8.5 by 11 portrait. And then in your Elements tab, select a square, but make sure it's the square shape. This allows you to manipulate the proportion so you can change it from a square to a rectangle, and also the size. The color of the rectangle, make sure it's selected, click on the circle for the color and choose your color. I chose this green because it is a St. Patrick's Day themed bingo card. Next, we'll be adding the font. So I already kind of sifted through the font and figured out which one I liked. So you add the text by selecting the text box. And I always just stick with heading because I ultimately change the size and the font anyway. But to me, it just makes the most sense. So then once you select heading, you just type out what you're trying to spell. And in this case, I'm doing lucky, but I'm making it each individual letter in one text box so I can manipulate the letters to space them evenly. If you type the whole word out, even if you space, like using the space bar, you may not space them evenly once I add a table later, and you'll see what I mean. Now that I have the letters spaced how I would like them, I'm going to select all of the letters, group them, and duplicate. And once I duplicate, I'm actually going to add an effect. So I'm only adding an effect to the duplicated group, and I'm going to change the color to white, and then I'll change the effect or add an effect to that group. The effect that I'm going to add is hollow. And then once I add the effect to that duplicated group, I overlap it onto the black lucky, and it might be hard to tell in the video, but it creates this white outline for the black letters. So if you wanted to create letters with an outline, that's how you would do it. Next, we're going to start creating the grid for the actual bingo card. So you can use a table. If you're using a table, you would want to do a 5 by 5, so for 25 squares total. As you can see, I'm just creating squares to go across basically in a row, and then once I get them sized appropriately, I will group them in a row of 5 and duplicate that 4 times. So it's a total of 5 for the bingo grid. But I have the bingo grid and the words where I want it on the green card. What I'm going to do is group all of that and duplicate it so that you have 2 cards per sheet. So I print these off on 8.5 by 11 paper. Two cards per sheet is almost half the paper, so it's a really good size. So that's great for all ages, especially the younger kids who might have a hard time manipulating a smaller bingo card, and it's easier to read for any older people who might be playing, and you just have plenty of space to put your markers. Now we're going to add our symbols to the bingo grid. So each one of these graphics I created myself. They're either hand-drawn and digitized or just completely made either in Canva or actually in Cricut Design Space. I design a lot in Cricut Design Space because you can merge shapes and also slice them, and then it allows you to create a brand new shape, and you can also do color fill. So once you create that, you can take a screenshot and then import that into Canva or other places and remove the background. So what I do is I start with the first symbol and I start with the first letter, and I go in the upper left hand corner. It's sideways, but I'm talking about if you had it printed and like actually in front of you vertically. So then I just go diagonally in each row for that symbol, and I just repeat the process for all the symbols that I'm using. However, I leave the center square as a free space. I will actually put in a different symbol than the rest of the symbols to mark it as free. But you can either put a different symbol in the free space, or just type in free, whatever you'd prefer. So we're going to repeat this with all of the symbols. So there are 5 graphics total, and I just repeat the way that I organize it with that same diagonal fashion. So for me, it just makes it easy, and it's a fun methodical process. And once you get to the next card, you can just scoot the placement of the very first symbol over 1 square to the right, and then just duplicate the same, moving it diagonally over 1 in each row. Okay, so now we're going to create the bingo calling cards. We'll do this by adding a new page, then we'll add a grid, and we'll duplicate the word lucky as a group. Once it's duplicated on the new page, the white page, then you'll want to ungroup it so you can duplicate each individual letter. You want a total of 5 for each individual letter so that you can have L horseshoe, L rainbow, L shamrock, etc. And you'll have to repeat this process for all 5 letters. And then once you're done with that, you can go ahead and group everything so nothing moves, because it can be really annoying when you've got your design complete and then you haven't grouped everything and you move and it shifts. But thankfully we have the undo button, so if that does happen, you can undo it. But to save yourself, you can just group everything. To mention that you'll also want to duplicate each of the symbols. So 5 of each symbol as well. So that way when you go to put L rainbow, you have that symbol ready to go. Yay, so your design is complete. Now you have lucky bingo cards if you're having a St. Patrick's Day party or just want to celebrate. So you can go ahead and print those out by downloading those as a PDF print. When you send it to your printer, make sure to change it to best or highest quality. And on an Epson EcoTank, I changed mine from plain paper to photo matte paper. If you enjoyed this, please share, and thank you so much.